Hello, today is a little bit of a different view from the Silhouette Studio. I do have the designer edition, but I did want to show you that you can print and cut images. So, if we're looking at a blank slate, you can do this within just a normal Silhouette Studio. It does not have to be the designer edition. What you're going to do is you're going to open your image. So we go up to the Open button, and then you pick the image. I recently downloaded this image on my computer, and I open it. And what will happen is it opens into a new tab in Silhouette. Now I can resize this. So if I want this to fit on a card, right now the image would be too wide. So I can go up here and I'm going to put this as a width of 4. And since this is locked for the aspect ratio, I don't have to mess with the height. It will automatically adjust it for me. So right now, if I were to send this image, it wouldn't cut anything. I'm actually going to move this. Hang on. It wouldn't cut anything because it says no cut. I could do this cut edge or I can do this cut edge, but it's going to be the same. It's going to be the outline of the box. So to remedy that, I need to trace. So trace is this icon right over here. What you're going to do is you just keep the default, trace selected area, and you highlight it. Instead of solid fill, I'm going to go ahead and do outline. And then down here, you can either trace, which will trace all of the edges, or trace the outer edge. So if I click trace outer edge, we're going to see what happens here. So if I drag this, what's happening is those outer edges are considered what's going to be on the image. So I'm going to Control Z to move back to where my image is underneath the red. Now if I were to release compound path, it would make all of those images or all of those lines individual, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to Control Z, undo my mistake, and I want to outline this entire image. So I'm going to utilize the offset. Now you can decrease your offset. I don't mind it being this thick. If I do decrease it, it will shrink it so it's closer to my image. So let's see here. Doing something like that will get me really close to the image. And then click apply. Now the reason I want to do that is because if I move my image, you can see the big outline that I want. So if I click on it, let's see. So there's my offset. There's my red, okay, that I originally did when I traced. I'm going to try to click on the image that I traced and deleted it. Nope. That did delete the correct one. And I can zoom in here so you can see a little bit better. So now the red is just my offset. I'm going to release the compound path on my offset. What that does is it'll allow me to just click those two items and group them. Now what will happen is I can move just those two items, the image that I want to print, and then the things that I want to cut. And I can get rid of all the gobbledygook that's back here. So I did that by pressing down and then selecting everything in the center and then clicking the backspace button. Now what we'll print is like a sticker. So I'm going to make this super obvious for you. I'm going to ungroup it. I'm going to highlight the red, and instead of a blank fill, I'm going to fill it in black. So black is where my image is going to be. The red outline is where it's going to cut. So it's kind of similar looking to a sticker. Okay, so let's take a look at this. If I send it now, right now, it will cut two things. It'll cut the box that the image is on, and it'll cut the offset that we made. So if I go to line, clicking this box here will allow me to just cut the outside edge. Now say I had something in the middle here that I did not want to cut. I can actually deselect the middle and it'll take it out for me. So now only the outside edge. But for purposes of what we're doing, this is perfect. So we have the image set up correctly to print and cut. However, we're missing a key piece of information. So in order for the Silhouette to actually see the image to cut it, we need to make sure the page is set up correctly. My page right now is not set up correctly. So my media size is 8.5 by 11, which is perfect, is what I'm going to print on. I need to make the registration marks viewable. So I need to turn them on. And in general, I reduce the thickness and the length and the insert as much as possible so that I can maximize my space. So watch what happens when I slide this to be longer. It increases the length and makes these gray boxes bigger. I don't want that because those gray boxes are not where I'm able to actually place my image. If I make it thicker, you can see how big that gets it. And if I want it inserted, I can reduce the area that I'm able to print and cut on. So right now, I've got my fancy image on the offset. I'm going to go ahead and group it. What's great about this is that I can now print and cut this multiple times. So I'm going to copy it and paste it, Control C and Control V. And I can move this so that we can see it. Now notice there is a little bit of a mark where these two images are overlapping. If I right click and then send backwards, now I can see this is gone, but I still am in front of the other one. So we can adjust these so that nothing is covered. Let's send this to front. Aha, that is quite an issue. So we're just going to adjust it. Okay, we're going to bring this forward. Ugh, that ear is getting cut off, isn't it? Okay. Well, since my bring forward and bring backward's not working, what we're going to do is this. I'm going to trace it again, but with both this time. I'm going to increase my threshold. So I don't really care, and I'm going to trace and detach. Let's see what that does. Okay, so that removed the background. Going to remove everything within my window and delete it. So see how it removed my background? See how there's a background on this still? That was I was having the issue with. So I'm going to copy this guy instead. Control C and Control V. And now I can really maximize my space that I'm printing. Aren't these just the most adorable images? I think these are going to be great card fronts, especially for spring, right? Don't forget to check out the the Paper Fun Day Challenges blog spot. That's who I'm using this image for. I'm going to make 4 cards with the same image. So now I've got my 4 images. Let's check again what this is going to look like. And it will cut out the red lines, not the black lines. The black lines are going to be printed. So when I go and done with this, I'm going to go ahead and print. See, it's not going to print the red lines. It's only going to print what's in black. So it's going to print the registration marks and my mouse. So I hit print, send it to my printer, and I'll be back. So once you've taken your printed item over to your Silhouette, it's going to scan those 3 dots and then cut it for you, essentially. So what I've done so far is pick a piece of paper and add it to a card base. So this is from Paige Evans, and I will try to list the collection down below, but I figured everybody's going with the 70s groovy theme. This is a pretty groovy paper. So we're going to color our mouse the same colors, and it's going to turn out super cute. So I'm using warm gray W3 for the mouse, but I'm going to start with a lighter color, which is the Flesh R2, and that is going to be our mouse nose and the inside of the ears. I am not a professional colorer. To be honest, I barely stay in the lines most of the time. So, don't take any coloring advice from me. I am just trying to get it done, right? So I'm actually going to add this flesh to the tail too, because mice, well, maybe rats, I don't know. One of them has kind of a fleshy tail, but what's going to happen is I'm going to change the color of this tail by adding my gray on top of it. So far, so good. We're done with the flesh part. I'm going to go ahead and do the green, just to get it out of the way. So have you guys tried the print and cut before? This is actually one of my favorite functionalities of the Silhouette. I know you can do something similar with the Cricut, which is perfect. You know, like whatever you can do to use these digital stamps, because these digital stamps, as you can tell, are super stinking cute. Okay, I'm going to do this gray now. I, again, am not the best colorer, so don't mind me. I'm going to skip this part, because what I'm noticing is I accidentally color the face darker than everything else. And I think it is because of the space that you have to cover. I feel like it's harder to color the spaces that have a wider area. And maybe I should be using the chisel front, but it is what it is. So that actually was probably the best coloring that I've done so far of all of my mice. So I try to get kind of lighter with the touch going out to the edges. I'm going to go a little bit darker as I can, just kind of layering up these because this is under a shadow. Just kind of darken it up a little bit. And then going to color in these cute little paws. I mean, how adorable is this stamp? And I'll make sure to list it down below. This is actually a free stamp that I got to be a part of the Paper Fun Day Challenges design team. Each month they have a, darn it, I got outside the lines, a sponsor who provides free cut files or free stamped images or whatever. And whoever wins The contest at the end of the month gets a free stamped image from that person who sponsored, which is pretty freaking awesome. So my goal is to kind of make that a little bit brighter, and you can tell definitely on my other ones that it is brighter, but I did such a good job in coloring that face I didn't have to worry about it. It's all right. Uh-oh, this looks funky. This nubbin looks kind of funky. That's okay. So we're just going to color her in. She is super cute. It's not very often that I get to use pink, so I am going to embrace it. Now this is not my typical color palette, pink and orange, so it's kind of fun to be able to play with this color scheme. And again, I just pulled it straight from that paper. That was the best way I could think to do it. And then I'm going to use Honey Yellow, Yellow 38 for the middle of my flowers. I'm going to leave the flower white to kind of leave a statement spot because I've got so much color going on with the mouse, and she is super cute. And then I can just peel her off, which is awesome. Now this is just cardstock, so I still need to adhere them together. And these are my other mice. And I've got a little set of cards here. So you could totally add like other sentiments to this. I just decided to use a stamp and die set that I've got that says hello. And that is super easy. Super, super easy, right? So I can just go hello. And it fits almost perfectly. With something like this, it is probably just easier to use my glue around the edges than try to grab my ATG. And boom, da boom. Perfect. And with such a big image, you don't have to do much to the rest of the card. Like, you don't have to do a fancy fold. You don't have to do anything. You know, this is just a 5.5 by 4.25 A2 base card. And it has just a mat, which would be 4 and 5.25. And I made sure to cut it so it's up and down. Like, how cute are those rainbows? And the bright pink doesn't quite match the pink that's in the layout or in the paper, but that's okay. It's not a big deal, right? Still stinking cute. Have you ever tried this technique where you use a digital stamp to create some cards? Can you imagine how much time it saves? Like, I don't know, the hello took me about 5 minutes. It wasn't that big of a deal, but having to die cut a mouse shape and then stamp it out and wait for the ink to dry, all those things just take time. And I want to do quick, simple, easy cards. And she could actually be used on a layout too. So these are my cards, quick and simple. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial of printing and cutting with a silhouette. It was for my friend Melanie. I promised her a video, so I will get that to her. I hope you have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.